Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Nate, lawyer, YouTuber, and I have to make sure I mute myself so I can't hear myself in my ear. All right. I am live and everything seems to be working. Welcome to tonight's show. So, what we're supposed to be doing tonight? We're looking at the Non-Sequitur Show books. Okay. So I have all the financial documents from the Non-Sequitur Show. So we are going to look at it line by line by line. Tonight, you're going to know how much the show made. You're going to know when the show made the money. You're going to know the full value and if that $100,000 number is actually accurate or not. So what am I going to show you? Well, tomorrow, Kyle is going to turn over the document that I'm going to show you now. He's going to turn it over to the court and to Steve's attorneys in compliance with the order that he just had. So you are going to see the document before Steve, the judge, all those other people see it. You will see it first. Now, I want to say a couple of things before we get started. Excuse me. The first thing, if you're new here, subscribe, share, like, do all those great YouTube stuff. It really helps me out. And this video is likely going to be demonetized because I'm going to say some things that are going to get demonetized. So if you do care, super chats are more than welcome. I definitely appreciate it. And I'll definitely ask that questions. The next thing I want to talk about is, okay, so the past couple of days, after this order came out, remember Steve was going around weaving the order. Kyle committed fraud. And most people seem to think that was true, And the civil case, Steve, there was no witnesses. Oh, Viva Farah, got my first super chat. Let's get the party started. Get up, Nate. Thank you. That's my boy Viva. Go check out his channel. Great stuff on there. Great stuff. So let me start with civil versus criminal law, right? In a civil case, the standard is by preponderance of the evidence, one of the lowest standards we have in law. So, it's really just more likely than not, or 50%, just, whoever has over 50%. Learning with Suji. Hey, excited about this. Thanks for the super chat, Learning with Suji. Hey, don't worry, we're getting right into it. So when I'm talking about civil cases are pretty easy to win, right? There's not a lot going on with a civil case. So in Steve's civil case, he more or less put an affidavit and said, this is the truth. And the other guy didn't show up. So he's now using that piece of paper saying that Kyle has been proven to be a fraud, proven to have defrauded him. But that's just not true. He hasn't proven anything. Kyle just didn't show up. And he has a court order that, because Kyle didn't show up, you get what you're asking for. Now, one thing I hate is that Steve is what he is he's not consistent with that line of reasoning. In his civil case, where the other side didn't show up, and the judge said, because the other side didn't show up, we're going to let you win. Let me read these super chats out real quick. Showing some love. Thank you, Secret Squirrel. Random pointless super chat from Yuhan Ruddick. Thanks again for the super chat. Geek Room 199 showing some love. Thank you. And this is next to you. This is that Kyle next to you? No, that is a lamp. But thanks for the super chat anyway, Christine Ray. So let me get back to this. So in a criminal trial, there is no default judgment, right? You're not winning by default. You have to present evidence to a jury, and they have to unanimously agree, right? There's no default judgment in criminal law. So and also the standard in criminal law is different, right? It's beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not preponderance of the evidence, beyond reasonable doubt. So when Steve says that people are stupid when they say that they don't believe Kyle did anything wrong, it is just like Steve saying that Earl David Warden is innocent. Because in Kyle's instance, Kyle, just didn't show up to court, right? It was a very low standard on the civil side. But when it comes to a serial blank, because, obviously I don't want to get demonetized, but a serial, that guy, Steve says he believes him, even though the evidence was challenged and a jury unanimously came back. He says he believes Warden and his multiple convictions. He believes he's innocent. So this is what I'm talking about. So I think we just all have to understand Steve's logic sometimes is the worst thing possible. So yes, it is okay. If you don't think that Kyle defrauded Steve, it is more than likely. Remember, you can believe what you want to believe, just like just like Steve believes Warden is innocent. The guy who's indicted for the stuff that he's doing now. $2 for the lamp. Love you, Jim Hall. Thanks for the super chat. All right. So you guys didn't really come here to see me play with my hair and talk about criminal law and civil law, but looking at this data that you're going to see today, and when you see the truth, hopefully it'll give you a better opinion on what was happening. Now, questions, if you want to ask me questions, it's going to be hard because I know this chat is going to be popping like fire. So hit me with a super chat. If it's a question, I'll answer, and I'll see what I can do. Some questions I may not be able to answer. All right, so let's just jump into the good stuff. So first thing I want to show you is, let's jump into this first thing that I'm going to show you here. All right, I got to share this screen. It's not working for me at the moment. Okay, so here we go. So we are getting right into it. Let's start with the document. So this says this is the compliance to order. It's dated today, but will be turned over tomorrow. And it's about Steve McRae versus Kyle Curtis. It's going to be sent to the judge and to Steve's attorney. That's who these people are. And it reads, "Dear sir or madam," no, dear sir, please find enclosed materials regarding the above case as ordered. Yours sincerely. That's Kyle's signature, and it's Kyle Curtis. These are the contents of the documents, but we'll go through everything all at once. Now, this is a very important part of this document. This is the overview and a partnership task. It reads, this document is the defendant's response to the above referenced court order. It provides the information ordered, which includes the management accounts, revenue, operating expenses, and a simple asset and liability schedule. As the court noted, plaintiff and defendant entered into a verbal business agreement to host a social entertainment podcast and YouTube channel, the channel known as the Non-Sequitur Show. And that's the court ordered date. The financial condition of the partnership also considers the costs required to both operate and maintain the partnership. This includes work completed by the defendant beyond the hosting of the show. Now, remember, the order said that they were partners just hosting the show. So it seems like this document is telling you that there are other things other than hosting the show that has to be considered when you're talking about the financial status of the show. These operating costs are considered mandatory for the success and operation of the partnership. This includes items like the defendant's copyrighted work, branding task, and other business-related items. The defendant has provided references to the world's best practices for a YouTube channel that were adopted in the partnership's development and implementation of the mandatory creative branding tasks and marketing programs that the defendant undertook in furtherance of the partnership. So let me go back to Streamlabs to see if anybody has any questions. Did I miss a super chat? No, we are still good. So simply put, right now, Kyle is laying out that we were in a partnership, and that since we were in a partnership, the order says that it was all about hosting, right? We both hosted. And then everything outside of hosting is something different. Now think about it this way. Let me turn this up. So think about it this way. Let's say we had a partnership to drive a car, but driving the car only leads you certain ways. If there's no gas in the car, if nobody maintains the car, just because our partnership said we can drive the car, if one of the partners is putting gas in the car and doing all that stuff, then it makes sense that partner is reimbursed for all the other stuff outside of driving, because our agreement was just to drive. So it seems like that's the story that's being told here. Let me go back to the document. Anybody have any questions? Remember, questions for the super chat, because they'll pop up real quick and I'll be able to see them. Going back to the document. All right, summary of financials. So this is the part. Now I'm going to ask everybody, because now I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking directly at the chat. Let me make it so I can look directly at the chat. Okay. How much do you think the show made? Remember, the show started in January 2018 till January 2020. Give me some numbers. How much do you think the show made over that time frame? And I'll give people like 5 seconds to answer this. 3, 2, 1. 100,000, 50,000, 20,000. Oh, we got some good numbers. All right, so let's just go back to the document and see what those numbers are and the backups for them. All right, so they had 548 shows. Total revenue is $49,000. But the total operating costs are $69,000, which seems that there's a total loss in accounts of about 20 grand. So that 20 grand, where's this $20,000 coming from? Woof. So the show was actually losing money. It lost money in 2018, and was making a slight profit in 2019. Now, this is something that's obviously normal for new businesses. New businesses and companies lose money before they start getting money. So the company made about $49,000. Operating costs about $69,000. Is a $20,000 difference. So technically, it seems like Steve and Kyle have this negative balance on the account. So let's see what that negative balance was. What was that negative operating balance? Because that's really what we're talking about, right? Any questions? And if you're still watching at this point, consider subscribing to the channel. Because come on, look at you. You're waiting for the answer. So don't worry, I got it. All right, let's go back to the document. All right, so Kyle Curtis designed outstanding invoices. So the business, this is important. The partnership owes Kyle $19,000 or $20,000, close, approximately $20,000 in outstanding invoices. So Kyle has billed the partnership, and now the partnership actually owes Kyle. So if we just take this at face value, Steve actually owes Kyle half this amount, which is almost about $10,000. So this document is saying the business was losing money, and Steve likely owes Kyle half of the balance of the $19,000 balance, which is a lot of money. Yeah, so Steve owes Kyle about $10,000 based on this. So I know it's probably shocking to a lot of people, but that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a $20,000 business loss. You ain't got the answers, Nate. Daniel, was it Danai? Thanks for the super chat. I don't have the answers. I have the document. All right, so let's check this out. Okay. So let's look at the next part of this document. So Kyle Curtis is owed from the business about 20 grand. And he has section 1.2. We're talking about copyright. So all thumbnails, logos, images, website images, music templates are 2017, 2018, and 2019 copyright Kyle Curtis designs. The defendant is prepared to negotiate a fee for use of the copyright material. Alternatively, the plaintiff, on receipt of the channel associated platform administration access logins, which is in this document but redacted, is to immediately remove all of the defendant's copyrighted materials from the channels, websites, and merchandise referred to, I think that's 8 Appendix 2. Kyle Curtis Designs has hard copies for all copyrighted material and links to music and video files. So Kyle is saying all the copyrighted materials, all the thumbnails, all of the artwork that he did for Non-Sequitur, he's saying, Steve, remove it because it is his material and he was licensing it to them. And if he wants to continue to use that material without getting copyright strikes, he has to now negotiate with Kyle for continued use of his copyrights. So he owes Kyle $10,000 and now has to continue to pay Kyle for continued use of the copyrights. Wow, that is a banger. Let's continue on. So just to make sure, no super chats, and we're all looking good here. All right, so we are seeing something else developing. Steve was doing, Steve didn't do any of the artwork, didn't do all that 95% of the work. There's a cost to that, and it seems like Steve was just showing up to shows. But let's look through the document to see if Kyle can now justify all this, because we're seeing kind of what's going on, but how can it be justified? Okay. So the first thing they put here is hosting task. Okay, so they're answering that question. What was part of the partnership? What are you not charging for? So they put here, this is based on uncontested complaint. So this is from the judge's order. And it says that we're talking about verbal business agreement to host. So we're talking about just hosting. So what did that entail? Let's shrink this a little bit. So that entailed show hosting. Both Kyle and Steve did it. Let me see if I can highlight these. No, it's not letting me highlight it. Oh, a little bit. But that's what we're talking about. So these were the tasks that were within the partnership agreement: hosting, guest sourcing, guest book scheduling, research and show topics, marketing, and Facebook and social media, guest appearances above shows. And you can see for each one of these tasks, they both did it 50-50. Even though McCray didn't host all the shows, but he still shares in the profit of the shows. Those are the notes. And some of the guest shows appearances for marketing. So this was a task that both partners performed equally. And obviously, Kyle is not charging for it. And the order says that the agreement was for the hosting of the show. So this is what that entails. Let me go back to StreamYard to see if anybody said anything. All right, I got a $5 super chat. What happened to the in perpetuity? I'm not too sure. Angry Roach, thanks for the super chat. Love you, Angry Roach. All right, so I know we got a lot going on in the chat. I might have to put it on slow mode if it gets kind of crazy. But so this is what the partnership did together. So just so we're clear, the court order said they're 50-50 partners, and what they were doing was hosting the show. Kyle has said, yes, hosting, but there were some other tasks that we all did together, and those tasks together are what was involved in the partnership agreement. So now let's move on with the document. All right, going to the next page. So, look, Kyle even put in this document the amount of shows everybody hosted. So Kyle hosted 319 shows, Steve 308. You got Caitlin Chloe 170. Oh, Katie Paulson 163. Oof, these people did a lot of shows. So these are actually the host of the show. So he puts who hosted the shows and how many shows they actually hosted. Wow. So now we're going into operating expenses. So these are things that weren't done by both partners, but were necessary for the continuation of the business. Unique high impact thumbnail design. No, it's Kyle Curtis did it. Steve didn't do any of it. Music, Steve didn't do any of it. All Kyle. Creative templates, all Kyle. Show production, Kyle. Patreon ticker update, all Kyle. Ad window animation, Kyle. Now streaming video, Kyle. Intro video loaded, Kyle. End screen graphics, Kyle. Update show graphics, Kyle. Videos, SEO, and metadata, Kyle. Podcast cover art, Kyle. Stream graphics per topic, Kyle. Guest presentation formatting, Kyle only. YouTube podcast, Kyle. And guest biographics, all Kyle. Shit. And that was page 1. Graphics, merchandise graphics, Kyle. Logo design, Kyle. Channel banner design, Kyle. Social media avatars, Kyle. And these are all Kyle alone. Social media banners, Kyle alone. Website graphics, Kyle. Video production, intro video, Kyle did it. End video, Kyle did it. Exclusive track production for the music, Kyle. Podcast bumper music, all Kyle. So Kyle did all of these tasks outside of the original partnership agreement. So they hosted together, but then Kyle had all of these things, from the look, the feel, the thumbnails. We got about 30 or 40 different things that Kyle did alone for the show. Essentially, Steve showed up, sat down in a chair, and Kyle ran everything in the background. And he's listed all the tasks that he did. So now, does anybody have any questions? All right, no questions. Woof. Now, I am going to ask people again, hit me off with the YouTube stuff. Like this video, share this video, subscribe. But yeah, we got a lot going on here. There is a lot going on. It is it is insane. It's insane because, when Kyle says he was doing 95% of the work, you just didn't see it. But now you can see, like, this was 95% of the work. He wasn't joking. You know what I mean? He was really, really, really putting it in. And as you can just see from the document, I'm going to release this document too, so you guys will have it. But it is crazy. Senator Porpoise. I love Senator. I love you, Sinister. So let's see. Can we have you send some post-Martin? It just moved on me. Sorry, Senator Porpoise. I can't find you again now. It's moving too fast. How fucked is Steve? Agonis. Athena, goddess of wisdom and warfare. Thank you for the super chat. Shouldn't have read that, though. I got a $5 from Angry Roach. Can Kyle charge Steve for his haircuts and hair job? Thanks for the super chat, maybe so. Who knows? All right, so let's go. Yeah, it's Laura's put the number in there. It's high. All right, so let's go back to the document. It seems like you guys are all good with questions, but so Kyle is owed about $9,000. All right, so this is the part. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure we're good with this. All right, so yeah, I got to make sure I don't want to dox their accounts. All right, so the next part of the document we're going into is, now this, remember, the court ordered the logins and passwords, so Kyle is providing them for all the logins and passwords: Patreon, Teespring, Facebook, Fireside. So get the username and passwords. So obviously they're going to check these to see if this was all right, if all these revenue. So now let's talk about revenue, how the channel was making its money. This is the part that everybody wants to see. Rez, hot fire. Thank you, Ray Rez. Thanks for your super chat. Appreciate it, bro. All right. So this is where I got to switch us to graphs because we're all good here. But now I'm going to stop this screen share, go to another screen share, and so we can see some graphs here. Let's look at some graphs. Here we go. Boop. All right. I'm at the full screen this so you guys can see this. File, view, present. Okay, so here's a graph of the Non-Sequitur Show's income from the inception in January 2018 all the way through January 2020. And as you can see from this graph, this is just literally taking all of the income or the revenue they receive and just plot it out by month. Now, if you look at the bottom of this graph, you'll see it says shows per month. It says YouTube revenue actual, Patreon actual, and Streamlabs actual. So their best month was April 2019, and they made about $4,800. So this shows you that the channel was actually growing pretty nicely, and it had its real big spike in 2018. That's July, and you can see when the Non-Sequitur Show broke up in June 2019, you had this huge drop off in revenue, and that was when the whole big Non-Sequitur thing happened. So you can see, like, they were doing well, and it just like blew up. Boom, done. So that's what you got. So now this is just visually looking at how the show's revenues came in over time. It's pretty interesting. They destroyed actually a pretty profitable show. At one point, they were making over $4,000 a month, which was crazy for YouTube. Let's go to the next graph. Next graph, it shows you the percentage of where they were making this revenue from. So the majority, 67% of their revenue was coming from YouTube, AdSense and have you, and super chats. Patreon, about a third of their income was coming from Patreon, and Teespring and Streamlabs were minute. They were so low, but the bulk of their revenue seemed to be coming from YouTube and Patreon. So that's a big bulk of it. And you can see, if we go back to the original graph, YouTube is in the orange, and you can see it's a majority of the income they're making was from YouTube. So it's fascinating to see how this actually worked out. Any questions in the chat? No, I'm going back to the chat. I'm back and forth with this chat. No questions. You guys ain't showing me no love. hit the subscribe button, send me a super chat, show me some love, because this is information that you guys needed to have, and I'm giving it to you. All right, so now we kind of have a picture of how the show did over time. So we have the peaks, we have the valleys, and then we kind of saw what percentage everything was going. You know, the majority of their income was coming from just the YouTube, from the YouTube revenue, and they had a third of their revenue coming from what's it called? Now I'm forgetting, Patreon. So yeah, and hey, I also have a Patreon too. If you like this content, you know, hit me up on Patreon. And thank you to my Patreons. I have some wonderful Patreons. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys joining up. And you know, please, if you guys want to also join those people, I usually, you get my videos before I put them up and all that stuff. So it's really good. But thanks again for my Patreons. I really appreciate it. So Vincent Jones for $1. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Vincent. So now let's get back to our document, because that is where the money is at. So now as we get into the financials, we understand these were their 4 sources of financials, and that since, let me put it this way, and now since the show is over, we see that the bulk of that money was coming from YouTube. So let me go back to the document so you can see the rest of the financials. Okay, use of plaintiff's Patreon account. So Steve for the first 2 months was using his Patreon, so they don't know how much it made from there. You got the operating and expenses, assets, operating expenses, profit and loss. And here it is. The defendant provided hosting services fees of a charge as per the verbal agreement, orders, and shown gas schedule. So they said that Kyle, it seems like it's saying Kyle provided all this, and Steve knew about it. And there's a list of tasks from channel launch to all this stuff that they were doing. Kyle Curtis designed, invoiced the partnership, acting in good faith as a contractor and partner. The defendant undertook many necessary functions as documented in. So now they're going into what Kyle did and why he should actually get paid for the things that he did outside of just hosting the channel. So this is going to be interesting. See, and so here they're explaining that, for instance, thumbnails are usually the first thing viewers see. So, you know, so by creating these individualized great thumbnails, the thumbnails Kyle created were fantastic. This was in reference to the channel, making the channel more sustainable and making it really good. Hold on, I got some super chats coming in. All right. Uncivil Law, let's see what you said. Uncivil Law says $5. Uncivil Law, subscribe to Uncivil Law. That's my brother from another mother. Yes, I love that guy. Uncivil Law, love you, bro. Thank you, Nate. This is everything. Thank you so much. Bite me now. Thanks for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Without a crystal ball, Katie, what's going on? You literally deserve so much praise for your hard work. Proud. Thank you so much. I'm trying to get to where you at. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to catch you because you are like stratosphere up there. But, you know, hopefully one day. Thank you for the super chat. Another great channel that you guys should definitely check out. I was watching our Kobe Bryant stuff. It actually made me want to put some Kobe Bryant stuff up. So, all right, let's get back to the document. Here we go. Oops. All right. So now we see that what Kyle was doing was evidence that this stuff was so important to the channel. And he puts in, and in this document, Kyle is putting in, like, here are the reasons why these things are so important. YouTube says 90% of it. Now, he's telling us the cost. These are the expenses, right? This is why Steve owes him about $10,000. So first thing he does is tell us, well, and if you were to farm it out, if we were to get an external contractor, it would cost you between $200 and $300, right? And Kyle is only charging you $120 per show. So generally, for everything for the task related to those expenses, you would he could legitimately charge between $200 and $300, but he only charged $120 because it was in good faith for the partnership. And then he lists them, right? Here are the tasks: merchandising, graphics, logos, channel banner. Like, he lists them all and shows, like, you know, how many he did, how many video intros, and how much the cost would be if he was just doing it at market rate. So he's listing them all out. This is what it is. But again, he's given the discounted rate of $120 per show. So he's not charging the $200 and the $300 that everybody else is charging. But now, how do we know that rate is a good rate? Well, guess what? He puts up actual quotes from other designers in the field with their packages, and you can see how much they charge. So he has 6 quotes here. Wow. So he has 6. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 4 quotes. He has 4 quotes. And each one of those quotes. Wow. All right. So the quotes for the hourly rates for the graphics and music, $200 to $300 per show, and then $60 to $80 per thumbnail. So with this alone, he could have been charging about $400, close to about $400 per show, but he invoiced them only at $120. So he says, I could charge this amount, but because I am being a good guy, I'm going to charge $120 per show because that was fair and we were in a partnership. So I'm not going to kill him by charging $400 per show, but but since I'm doing 95% of the work, it's only fair that I get it. What do you think will happen now? I got to answer that after we finish with the document. But thank you so much, Leslie. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting because Kyle has given us a very, very, very detailed expense account to show us exactly what the show made and how he was charging for what the show was making. This is very detailed and it's professionally done. So here we go. Back to, let me make sure I put this back on the screen. Let's get back to the document. Okay. All right. So Kyle, and I think this is great that he actually put these packages up here. Let me see if I can see. Like you see, copyright package, $140, podcast recording, $140. So he actually literally web design package. So these people are charging $140 an hour, and he's doing 2 hours. Kyle is saying he's doing 2 hours per show worth of services, and he's discounted it greatly. Oh, here are the other 2. Here's 2 more. So 6 quotes altogether. Oh, he's also putting in the market. He got quotes for the music. Look at all these quotes for music. So he's showing you that, hey, I could have charged more, but I didn't. So now they're talking. So now he goes into plaintiff's approval. So this is just in case Steve says, I didn't know any of this stuff was happening. Kyle's just read the stuff up. He's saying, no, here is where Kyle is saying, Steve authorized me to do this. Let's check it out. All right. So here, let me blow this up. It says, I told you I can't make over. This is Steve McRae saying, I told you I can't make over a certain amount or I will lose medical, which is why I wanted to look it over. Okay. This was when he was on. All right. So I'm assuming this is when Steve was on, the welfare and well, not the welfare. What's it called? Medi-Cal, the state, more or less the state welfare for medical, and he wanted to, he couldn't make over a certain amount. So, I wonder why that's in there. That might just be in there as an F you to Steve. Like, oh yeah. All right. So look, take a draw if you need funds. We have Streamlabs, PayPal, Certs, Patreon. You have the numbers. So, and they're using this to say, take a draw if you need funds. Your invested costs. Here's Steve McRae. Actually, the first month or so, you should some of your invested costs. Damn, Steve is so bad at writing these things. You should some of your invested costs. I'm totally okay with this. Kyle has put, this is your invested cost. Reimburse. Take out like $100 to $200 to reimburse you. Well, $120 per show. Reimburse. To Steve McRae again. I am sure we will make a few $100 easily when super chats arrive. So Steve is saying, hey, yeah, take this money. I understand. Plaintiff's approval of products of quality of product tasks. So let's see what Kyle puts here. This is a good thumb for the Traitor Coin Show. Good thumb, right? So that's what Kyle is using this for. Do you see the thumb for tomorrow? I did. Yes. Very good. I will contact Glenn. Very good. Really good. This is my most favorite thumb. It is really good. Most beautiful thumb I've ever made. LOL. I love it. So it's not. So Steve can't pretend that he didn't know this. So I got a couple more super chats coming in. All right. Boomer depends funds when he poops in his pants. Thank you, Christina Rain, for the super chat. Elizabeth Richardson. So why couldn't Kyle have presented all of these financials before the judgment? I don't know. That's a good question for Kyle. Thank you for the super chat. But this seems like a game changer, though, because I don't think Steve did any thumbnails. And if he didn't do any thumbnails, then is it fair for Kyle to do 548 thumbnails and not get a dime? I don't know. I think I would have billed for him too. And Kyle could have been billing $400 a show. He's only billing $120. That I think is reasonable. It's like, how could anybody look at these and say that he's not being ultra reasonable? And he still owed $10,000 from Steve. It's crazy. All right, let me get back to the document. Now, this document, so this document is 56 pages. So we're not going through all 56, but 56 pages of material. Let's look at learning from Suji. Let me see. I appreciate all the hard work you do on this, Nate. This was worth the wait. Well, now you got all the actual numbers. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thanks for the $10 super chat. All right, so let's get back into the document. So look, A++. So here's the thumbnails. Okay, he's showing them the thumbnails. That's rocking. So did Steve think that Kyle was just going to do all this work for free? I don't know. It seems like he did. So now let's go on. So thumbnails, management accounts. So at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about this loss. So it's $49,000 in revenue and $69,000 in cost, and there's a almost $20,000 difference. So that's what Steve is looking at. The show was not being profitable. Now we get to the itemized profit and loss statements. 2017, there was no profit or loss, but there was operating expenses because they did a couple of shows, the startup cost. So $350 in 2017, that was owed to Kyle. Remember at the beginning of the show, 2018, for this profit and loss statement. So just so you can see how to read this, it starts January 2018, goes to the end of the year and give you totals. And on the top, it's revenues. So the top here is revenues, and the bottom here are operating expenses. So you can see each show, if you're doing, like in 1 month, they're doing 38 shows, 28 shows. Don't forget, it's $120 per show, and Kyle is billing it for the $120 per show as they go off. So just like with all businesses, you run at a loss for a little while until you get enough momentum, and then you'll start getting a plus. So if you look at the bottom, the money that's owed back to Kyle for the work that he's doing, it's going up and down. Like you see in November 2018, it's only at about $700 because they're starting to make profit. They're starting to become profitable. And this was 2019. So you see every month, you see how many shows, you see how much revenue is coming in. Like in 1 month from YouTube revenue, they got, in November 2018, they got $3,000, so he literally has everything itemized. Then he's itemized all of his expenses, the graphic artworks, the producer, how much they paid Bull, how much they gave to Steve, all the graphics and everything, all the stuff that they had to do. So all of it's here. Everything is here. And then in 2019, they've even broken down here in blue when Steve left the show and everything before that. And as you can see, the show started becoming profitable in February 2019 and was actually making a profit. It had a little loss, but here, June 2019, they were profitable. So now you have a profitable show. You actually have money that you can make between the two. And that's when the fallout happens, and then the show becomes, and then it just goes down the hill from there. So yeah, Steve killed the show. Disclaimer: the management accounts have been provided by information provided by Kyle Curtis, and these are not audited. Where possible, hard copy and links to revenue sources and operating expenses have been provided. Woo! All right. Damn, I feel like I just talked for like an hour right now. All right, I got another super chat up there. Angry Roach, I love you, Angry Roach. People think the case is closed. Nate can the judge change the deferred judgment if Kyle goes to court? No, the judgment is really done. But remember, they're talking about damages now. And Steve is going to say, I was damaged, right? I've lost all this money because the show was doing so well. But the show is in debt. So now when the judge looks at it, he's going to say, well, shit, you owe the defendant $10,000. So maybe so there's a little something here. And on top of that, don't forget, Kyle said that he's not going to let him continue to use his copyrighted licensed work past the judgment. So they still have to worry about that. So everything that Kyle created, he's keeping the license for and said, if you want to continue to use it, you got to pay me. So this is crazy. This is crazy. But hey, Kyle did what he had to do. He showed up, and he showed up hard, because this is crazy. Thanks again for the super chat. All right. So we are pretty close to being finished. So we have some other assets and liabilities, software, and again, the $19,000 owed to Kyle, outstanding balance for him. So at the end of the day, Steve owes Kyle about 10 grand. Damn, he owes Kyle about 10 grand. So he's returning all administrative controls. And here are the appendix. So now what you're going to see here is the actual, these are when you go to YouTube and all these things, you can download the receivables from the account. These are the downloads. So you see every month how much the show made, how much it was estimated, how many monetized playbacks. So they give you everything. So he's actually putting up, because they obviously are going to get the links to the AdSense and all that stuff, but he's putting them here to say, okay, here are the numbers just in case you want to check them. He got Patreon revenue, so you see all the revenue from Patreon for the whole time that they were there, right? So here's all and again, verified. You can just go into Patreon because he's given them the password, so they can just go in and verify these amounts are correct. Teespring. So he has a Teespring amount here, $1,700 from Teespring, and when it peaked. And he also has the revenue from Streamlabs. So all the revenue amounts are here. And again, they can be verified with the administrative logins and passwords. So also he's put up shows per month. So this is how many. So he's showing these are the shows per month, and here are the calendars for the shows per month. Kyle Curtis design copyright. So Kyle Curtis, he's literally listed every one of his copyrights, every single thing, all his music files. Look at this, all his music files, 56 pages, every single thumbnail, copyright design, copyright by Kyle Curtis. Every single individualized thumbnail he has here as his copyright, Kyle Curtis designs. Wow. And this is 56 pages of stuff. So all those, let's just look at one. Just that thumbnail, Kyle Curtis design. All the thumbnails, all 548 thumbnails. And all the backups for the overlays. Here are the overlays, Kyle Curtis designs. Wow. All the overlays, everything. He's got them all. All the work that he's done. All the work that he's done and the backups for it. So Kyle put everything here. This is crazy. Let me look at, got a $3.99 super chat. Always well researched. Thank you. I got Puffaluffagus. It's an interesting name. Could Kyle have any legitimate claims to the proceeds from the Non-Sequitur Show that were simulcast at Steve's channel? The apparent ties to the Non-Sequitur Show. I don't know. Possibly. It all depends on the laws of that state. I wouldn't know. That's a good question, though. Oh, you just showed dozens of copyrighted images. That's true. I might owe Kyle, right? But this is under fair use, baby. Fair use. If he wants to, we're going to do fair use, baby. Because, this is commentary over the copyrighted material. But anyway, you guys don't want to hear about that. So we have 56 pages. Kyle has outlined every single thing that he's done. Here is Elizabeth Richardson with the $5 super chat. Let me see it. It says, is it legal for Kyle to be the owner of the NSS and also invoicing his own company, Kyle Curtis Designs? they can make him tax document for KCD. Maybe you're right. It's possibly true, but I don't know. It's a very, very good question. I'm not sure. I wish I did tax. On civil law, here we go. Do you have 10 times the live chat I do? I need tips. Don't do non sequitur. That's the number one tip, because this has been crazy for me. Don't do non sequitur. On civil law, thanks again for the super chat. Okay, the apparent. This presentation represents hours of work, and I, for one, appreciate. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yes. This was really, really good. Would the judge throw this out? Well, Steve is going to have a problem with this. Is from Katie Joy. Will the judge throw this out? I gotta see. It's hard for me to find. I can click them up here, but I can't put them. Yeah. Anyway, I don't think the judge can throw it out because they've already made the ruling. But this is going to affect how much money Steve is going to get. This is going to affect how much Steve is going to get. It just will. But this is going to be crazy because all the money that he was planning on getting was because he was just it seems like Steve's attorneys just thought that they would just maybe take that $48,000 number, split it in half, and that would be Steve's damages, not understanding that there were, it's just like with any business, like say if I'm driving cars, there are overhead costs, there's all those costs that are associated. They just don't go away, So that's what it has to be. And what's fair is fair. You've seen all the work Kyle has put into it. He's literally put it all here in the documents. I don't know how anybody can argue. Did Steve do one of those thumbnails? There's 548 thumbnails, 38 a month. I just don't know. This looks crazy. This looks crazy. But at the end of the day, Steve can say whatever he wants. But right now, the financials say you owe Kyle 10 grand. And he's going around telling people that Kyle owes him 60 grand. I don't know. It's wild. It's wild. But thank you for the super chats. I really, really appreciate them. Let me go back to the document. So yes. All right. Just making sure I got everything for you guys. And I did. So at the end of the day, Kyle Curtis has invoiced the shit out of the account and has explained exactly what he did, why he invoiced it, and showed that Steve saw that he was doing this, told him that he can get money from the accounts, and appreciated all the hard work that he did. And that at the end of the day, the company still owes Kyle for all the work that he's done. And so now when Kyle was saying something like, I did 95% of the work, that's what he was talking about, because that looked like about 95% of the work. And those costs meant something. They mean something. And, I think Kyle has done an extremely well job on making it happen. So if it's interesting. But now, number one thing for all you people out there, put your stuff in writing. If you're going to go into some business venture, put it in writing. So the stuff like this doesn't happen, because this is crazy. All right. Now, next, for all you people who've made it this far, subscribe to the channel. Come on. You made it. You watch me monologue for a damn 45 minutes, 50 minutes of monologue. You got to subscribe. That means you like something here. Also, after show, we are going to Dragnot Silver's show. Somebody, please, one of my mods, please put the link to Drag's channel, the link to the after show, where we're going to go. I'm jumping over there. We should be there in about 10 minutes. We're going to go over to Drag's channel. We're going to be answering questions, having a little party, talking about what we've just heard, so everyone is informed about what we are seeing and how they feel about it. I just want to ask you guys, because I always ask my jury, because that's who you are. You're my jury. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think Kyle is out of his mind for billing the company like this, for all the stuff? Or do you think Steve should just get half of the $48,000? It's going to be crazy, right? Because part of me says, yeah, that makes sense. If you've done all this work, then you should get paid, especially if the only thing the agreement was for hosting. But then a part of me is like, oh, why didn't you bring this up earlier? You know what I'm saying? There is that balance that I think everybody has to agree with. But I think at the end of the day, Kyle has shown, I think, with beyond a clear doubt, the work that he did, how much of it, he even got quotes from other people who do the same type of work. So I think he's made a very compelling document. And that is, I think, something that we all need to recognize, that he may not have come through earlier, but he's definitely come through at the end of the day. So thanks again for watching this. Remember, Dragnot Silvis. Did anybody put the link to Dragnot's channel in the chat? Somebody, any mod, can they take care of that for me? I'm trying to figure it out myself. No. Oh, this is going way too fast. All right. This is why I should have done slow mode. All right. Nate Broady, Steve only has to escape. Blah, 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 blah. All right. I see it. All right. There it is. Dragnot Silvis channel. Laura has put it in the chat. We're going to be heading over there in about 8 minutes. I'll be there answering whatever questions that you have. We'll be talking. We're going to get crazy. We're going to have some fun. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for watching. Thank you for those who subscribe. My name is Nate, lawyer, YouTuber. If we have anything else happen, we're going to let you know. These documents, Steve has not seen. They've probably seen them now, right, Steve? You watching them now, right? See, all those. And think about this. Before you guys all leave, Steve went out and told everybody, don't watch my channel. Now they have forced to watch my channel. And I do want to say two things before I leave. One, I was friends with Nick Suter and the guys from In Time, right? And Nick Suter, he said that he had to block me because Steve and them told him to block me and they can't watch my stuff anymore. Fine. So I just left them. So I left that. I'm not doing In Time anymore. But Steve has been telling people, like, he's been trying to blackball my channel and blackball the rest of us on this side, just because we let out facts. And I think, and if that's the case, if you're here and you're afraid to tell somebody you watch this show, then really think about, who you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of horrible. And it's funny because I speak to Trina Porter. She's me and her are real cool. We're friends on Facebook, and I have fear for her, because if she tells Steve that she talks to me and she watches my stuff, he's going to block her. So just what you understand, if anybody's trying to silence me or even silence you or even telling you who you could be friends with, you should really, really consider, is that person really good for you in your life? Because I'm a grown man. Can't nobody tell me who I can, who I can talk to or who I can follow. If you are, then you're the boss, and nobody's the boss of me. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, head over to Dragnot Silvis channel. Link was in the chat. Well, I'll be over there. We're going to be going over this stuff. It should be starting in about 5 minutes. I'm going to get some coffee and relax and then really get back into it. So if you have any more questions, we'll be answering them over there. My name is Nate, lawyer, YouTuber. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for everybody for doing everything. And yeah, one last thing too. Somebody put mass block list hypocrisy. There's a dead man on the block list. Bill Ludlow, who is dead, is on Steve's block list. They have a dead man on the block list. So that is how insane things are getting. But again, I digress. I'll see you in Dragnot's channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Non-Sequitur Show. Peace. And broadcast.